game.
All right, so we start in Dallas this morning. Maria, next up, Cleveland.
Yes, next up, the Browns, whose 2019 start to the season hasn't gone as planned. They're under 500 with a lot of criticism coming toward their head coach, Freddie Kitchens, and his questionable play calling during their loss to the Rams on Sunday night. So let's put it this way. You can't really win games if you don't score. The Browns are averaging 16 points per game. You can't score if you don't get first downs. The Browns are 26th in the league in that stat. And you can't extend drives if you don't convert on third downs. The Browns are 28th in the NFL at just under 30%. So that's a lot of numbers that might cause concern. How concerned right now, Dan Graziano, are the Browns inside their organization?
They're concerned because this offseason there was sort of an apprehensive optimism around the Browns' decision makers. They believe they have a good team. They still believe that. The problem is the concerns that they had about if we're not a good team, how would that look? That's what's happened so far. The offensive line, the first-year head coach, the still developing young quarterback. You know, obviously they're very excited about Baker Mayfield, but nobody saw him as a finished product coming into this year. So that the fact that the first three games have sort of revealed what they were worried about makes them a little more worried about it. There's still some confidence in that building that, hey, they will turn it around. This will start to work. But it would be better if it happened sooner rather than later, just for everyone's nerves.
Yeah, and maybe something else to be concerned about for the Browns. They're the most penalized team in the NFL, so discipline potentially could be a problem as well, Greeny.
Those are things, Maria, and again, I don't want to, sort of tap dance around it. I mean, the reality of it is, as we look at their schedule coming up, it's difficult. The things that have gone wrong with them are things that usually go wrong with badly coached teams. These are things we talk about. The play calling is inexplicable. How they don't run the ball down by the goal line. How they don't give Odell Beckham one chance to win them the game down by the goal line. All the penalties. These are things that we usually talk about, and we say, that's not a well-coached football team. I feel like we are hesitant for some reason to say that about the Browns right now.
No, I'm not hesitant. I don't think anyone on this set is hesitant. I think we all agree that. We agree with that. We aren't surprised by that. But I'm going to try to give the Browns a little bit of optimism. Their defense has played very well, considering the fact that they had two starting corners out. Yeah. They played really well against an offense that we all respect, and they're going in there in a division that, frankly, is the Ravens and two other teams that aren't very good. I'm not happy with what the Browns are doing. I think that they chose the wrong guy as their head coach, and I think that we got a little ahead of ourselves as far as anointing Baker Mayfield like the second coming.
Well, let's talk about Baker Mayfield, Ryan. What are you seeing in him?
Baker Mayfield has regressed. Anytime you come into the season and now Gardner Minshew is more Baker Mayfield than Baker Mayfield, then that's an issue. When you have a guy who was a sixth-round pick and he's doing the things I expected to see in Cleveland, Baker Mayfield's not sitting in the pocket. They're not pushing the ball down the field. And you spoke to some of the things that lead us to believe that there's bad coaching. They're not on the details. And I don't necessarily believe that Freddie Kitchens is a detailed guy. A huge reason why this team was successful down the stretch is the way that Greg Williams organizes an organization. And I think they're missing that right now. Those are things that can change, but it better change quickly because we see the type of schedule that this team has coming up.
Yeah, we put it up there for you a few minutes ago. It gets late early. Now, you made an interesting point. That division does not figure to run away from them unless Baltimore runs away and hides. So they have a little bit of time to get this thing right. But as I opened the show by saying, it's getting late early for the Browns.
Yeah, I think it is getting late early. I think it was late when they decided to hire Freddie Kitchens. I'm not sure the reason behind hiring Freddie Kitchens outside of people saying Baker liked him. And I think that Freddie is putting a lot of pressure on Baker Mayfield in order to make plays that I'm not sure he's ready to make. He hasn't really proven us. They beat some bad teams last year, and he's been kind of turnover prone. So I think there are still questions out there. As much as we want to anoint Baker this next great guy, I think he came in that Thursday night and brought him that win out of nowhere that we didn't expect, and that got us a lot higher on him than I think maybe we should be.
The huge issue I have with Baker Mayfield is the way I felt about LSU quarterbacks for the last 20 years. The first time I see him, I say, this dude has it. He's going to be great. I can't wait to see him progress. The first time we saw Baker, that's the best we've ever seen him. It was on Thursday night. He comes in and leads them to a win over the New York Jets. He's regressed ever since then, and that's a coaching issue, and that's an issue that has to be fixed.
Is it fair or unfair not to point out the fact that this is a team that had 0 wins 2 years ago? I mean, like they were the worst team in NFL history 2 years ago.
It's fair, but if we're going to talk about teams tanking, it's also fair to say that it's not working right now, and you have to continue to use those